Hi everyone, we're back for another example for our blood bank immunohematology course, and today we're going to do an ABORH and screen, or also known as a type and screen. You can also see this on an order as a T and S, okay, type and screen. So we're going to start by, here's our patient, and we're just going to go by these numbers here. And what you would do when you get your patient for the first time in the blood bank is you would access the computer system over here, see if there's any patient history on them or not. If there's a patient history, you can just proceed as normal. If there's no patient history on there for you to see, remember you're going to have to do a retype. That's a requirement. So on a separate draw, a separate blood collection on that patient, you're going to have to get another sample, another tube from that patient, and actually double check that type and RH to make sure it's correct. But we're going to conclude that we have a previous history, it all looks good, and we're going to proceed. So here's my tubes for the type and screen. So I'm going to label these, and remember when we label our tubes, we're going to use a capital A, capital B, a capital D, and then you can put C for control, a lowercase a1, a lowercase b. Please remember this is really important so that you can tell these apart when you're reading them. Since we're doing a screen as well, we're going to label a tube with a 1 and a tube with a 2, and I typically use the Roman numerals. If you're using a 3 screening system, go ahead and put a 3 on there. For 3 screening cells, we just have 2, so we're doing that. And then PT for my patient. So I'm going to take my tubes, slide them to the edge of the table, and put them right here in my rack. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead, get them all facing me so I can read them. Okay, good practice. I'm going to go ahead and put all my reagents in there. Remember to mix that. We have, oh, that didn't drop very well. There we go. 1 drop. These are monoclonal reagents, so 1 drop is sufficient for these. Okay. Make sure it didn't mix real well in there. There's my B. My humidity in here is not the greatest. It's a little low, so my drops appear to be a little small. There's my D. Mix that up. Anti-D. That in there. Here's our A1 and our B cells. These are cellular reagents, so we really want to make sure they're mixed. Mix your plungers, droppers. A. B. I'm going to go back. Here's my RH control. Like I said, some of you guys will be using this routinely in your sites and some of you won't. It's really important. If you were to have an AB pause patient, you got to at least make sure you're running that saline control. And then now my screening cells, my 1 and 2 screening cells. Again, I want to mix these really well. You know, I don't want to shake them because I don't want to rupture my cells. I want to mix them thoroughly but gently. There's my 1. And there's my screening cell 2. Okay. So now I have all my reagents in there. That tidy. So here's my specimen. So I want to grab my pipette. Up here my workstation. And what I'm going to do, so I can do everything in one step to be efficient. Okay, and I'm going to get my plasma here. And my specimens are a little older, so they they're not as clear as they would be if it was a fresh specimen. So we're going to put 2 drops in our screening cells, in our A, in our B. Okay. And now what I'm going to do, if I have a little bit left, just let it go along the side. And then I'm going to go down in there. I'm going to depress my pipette bulb, go down into the cells, get a little bit my cells down there, and put them into my patient suspension. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to make my suspension here. And remember, I don't want to put that down in there. Get enough saline. Make that 3 to 5% cell suspension. I'm going to go ahead and put a drop of that across there in my tubes. Okay. I'm going to take this to my centrifuge, and I'm going to centrifuge this, remember, 15 to 20 seconds. I might have got my cell suspension just a little light there. Okay, here we are. We're back. I centrifuged, had my tube in the centrifuge. Now we have them back. We're going to go ahead and we're going to read them. And I am going to record my results on my blood bank log right here. I have a log, and I have my patient identification, the date, all the appropriate spots I need to be filling in. So I'll try to get this in here so you guys can see what I'm doing. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to read our front type. So we're going to take our A1 or anti-A. We're going to shake and tilt and shake and tilt. And that's a 4+ reaction on there. You can see that 4+ reaction in there, so you can see that. Really nice. It's easy for you to see on that white background. So I'm going to record this. Make sure you want to be recording your results as you're doing them. And so here's my B tube, and I'm shaking and tilting. And if you can see, I'll do that with this background. You can see shaking and tilting, and that's just streaming right off of there. So that's a negative. Okay, so we're going to record that. It's a negative. Okay. I know some places now, I can erase that, are putting, looks like an equal sign as negative, so we'll stay consistent with that. And let's see, here's my D, shake and tilt, shake and tilt. And as you can see, I'll do that over the white background so you can see a little better. That's a negative result too. And so here's our anti-D, negative. Here's our RH control. And again, that RH control, I'll shake and tilt that on there so you can see that stream right off there. Again, is a negative result, which is very good. We're not going to do a weak D because this isn't a baby. Okay. So there's no need for any of that. So our RH interpretation here is going to be negative. And we'll write that in there, negative. Let's check out our back type. Here's our A1 cells. And since we got what appeared to be A on the front type, thank goodness, this is no reaction there. Last thing we want is a discrepancy here, right? Okay, and then our B cell, oh, and that's really nice there. We got a good, we'll call that a 3+ reaction. See, there's a couple clumps in there. So we'll go 3+. And that'll give us an A type for our patient, and they appear to be A negative. All right, let's look at our screening cells here. We'll read screening cell 1, and again, I shake and tilt, and you want to get that so that is rolling in that tube a little bit so you can see that, so it's streaming off of there. And again, that's a nice negative reaction. I'll go on that white background so you can see it. Okay, that's 1. So we're going to record that. This is our immediate spin for our screening cell 1, which is negative. Let's look at our tube 2, screening cell 2, and again, tilt, tilt, and that's negative, and I'll show that to you over here so you can see that. Nice negative reaction. Okay, excellent. So we'll put that on there. Might be our lucky day. We'll have a negative screen too. What we're going to do next is, because of our screen, we got to carry this through, so we're going to add our enhancement media. And in this one, I have an Enhance, which is a low ionic strength solution. So good habit mix. And because we use 2 drops of plasma in these tubes, okay, we have to add 2 drops of the enhancement media. So we'll take this, we'll just add 2 drops, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, and then We're going to put that into incubate about 20 minutes, and then we'll be back. Okay, my timer went off. I've taken these tubes out of the 37-degree incubator, and I'm going to put them in my centrifuge and centrifuge them for 15 to 20 seconds. Okay, we're back. I just removed my 1 and 2 screening cells from the centrifuge, and we're going to sit down and we're going to read these. I'll move that rack out of the way so hopefully you can get a better view here. And so here is screening cell 1. And when I do this, I like to have my cell button towards the top, and I'm going to shake this and tilt. Shake and tilt so I can see if those cells are streaming off of that cell button. And as you can see here, I hope you can see, okay, look at that, it's streaming. And I'll go over here. I think this white background helped earlier too. You can see how that's just streaming. I want to make sure I don't spill it out the back end. All right, now we're going to take a look at this one and shake. And if you don't, you got to look closely at this, and you've got to tilt at the same time, because you can see as I first shake, you know, because of all the cells in there, it does appear that maybe it clumps as it's coming off. But as I shake and tilt, you can just see those cells just streaming nicely off of there. And I'll show it here too. And they're just streaming. There's no clumping as it's coming off of there. It's just it's got that nice tail. And so this is a negative. Okay, so now what we're going to do, okay, we're going to take them over and we're going to wash them. Okay. So we'll be right back. Okay, we're back now. Our tubes from the cell washer. Our screening cells 1 and 2. And we're going to add our AHG to this. This is AHG, anti-human globulin. Okay, this one's polyspecific. You can see it on there. It's anti-IgG and C3d. Okay, you can have monospecific ones for IgG and just complement, but we're using this polyspecific one. Again, 2 drops, 1, 2, 1, 2, free falling drops. Dispense that. We're going to put this into our centrifuge, 15 to 20 seconds. Okay, here are our screening cells. Once again, we've centrifuged them after adding the anti-human globulin, and we're going to take a look under our glutination viewer. And remember, gently shake and tilt. And as I gently shake and tilt this one, you can see there no longer is any streaming of these cells off of there. And if you can see that in the mirror, I'm going to take it over here, okay, where you can see the white background. And as I'm shaking this and moving it, there are definite clumps in this. Okay, we no longer have the nice streaming of those red cells off of there. And I'm going to go with probably a 1+ reaction on here, and I'm going to make sure those are off of there. So that's screening cell 1. We're going to record that as at least a 1+ reaction. Now let's take a look at 2. And as we gently shake and tilt, shake and tilt, again, we have distinct clumps coming off of that cell button, and we no longer have that nice, smooth flowing of those red cells off of that button. So once again, we have probably at least a 1+ reaction. We're going to record that. 1+. And our check cells, we're going to do not tested. We only use our check cells or our Coombs control cells on negatives. And our interpretation now of this antibody screen is positive. And guess what that means, everyone? What's our next step? Our next step is going to be doing a panel. Okay? Because now we need to do an antibody ID. Okay, well, stay tuned. That'll be our next segment. Signing out.